Okay, continuing on to our brochure build. I'm going to go through some basics as well. I just want you guys to make sure that you understand on your computers how to get to some of these panels that we are going to use for sure. I have here a little sticky that you might want to take a screenshot of. Here, I'll stop it there for a second. As you can see, these are the different ways of getting to the different panels. And the first one that's the most important one, I think, at least on my computer, is the control panel that is usually up above. Now you can see you can go from the window down to the panel that says it says control, excuse me. Or if you see that, that little formula there, that means Option Command 6 will do the same thing. So if I close that down, I could do Option Command 6. It will toggle it on and off. And the option bar, I call it up here, or the control bar, it used to be called the option bar. The control bar is a contextual panel that helps you in one place up above work on settings for whatever tool you're in. It's called a contextual tool. It's a lot like the properties panel. This is the properties panel, and as you can see, if I select some text, it right away talks about, it gives you the options of fonts and font styles, font sizes, the leading, the letter spacing, the alignment. These are all inset, which we can go over in a couple of, probably in next week's class. If you click, I'm really, again, up at the control bar, if you click on the paragraph icon, it then gives you more alignment, the same alignment tools, the same inset, and it allows you to still do the same things, but you can also hyphenate or unhyphenate your text. I suggest you unhyphenate. It looks better. In other words, it doesn't break the words with hyphens. It doesn't force words to break with a hyphen. Let's see, what else? So other panels that we want to get to, I'm going to bring up that sticky again. The text wrap panel, very simple. You can get to it again. Let me go here. I can't show you both the sticky and InDesign at the same time. So this one, again, you can go from the window down to text wrap, and we're going to do that. Window, text wrap, or again, this is the little formula icon for Option or Alt, Command or Control W. And that brings up that panel. And that's the panel you use when you've selected a picture, a photograph, an object, and you want to apply a text wrap, a force field around it that will push the type away from the frame itself. Okay? The next one we're going to go to, let's see, I'm going to go back over here. Let's go to text frame options. That one's very simple. Command or Control B. This is another one. If the control panel is hard to see on your laptop, this is the window you want to bring up that will help you when you've selected your text box and you add columns in here, and you also make gutter adjustments, the space between the columns, and you want to put preview on, and when you're done you say okay. So that's easy. You know that Control D places an image. One that's kind of hard to remember is if you want to get your swatches panel up, you have to go to Window, down to Color, and then over to Swatches. That's a lot of work. If you just want to go to your F5 key, which is up at the top of your, well, I'm on a regular keyboard. It should be kind of towards the top of your keyboard. And it toggles. It's just the F5 key that brings up the swatches. And let's see, we did text wrap. Character styles, which is very important. You are going to, let me go to that again. Again, you'd go up to the window and you would click to styles. And let's just do that. Window, down to styles. And there's a bunch of them in here. We just want the character styles. And again, if you look at that formula, what that is saying is Shift Command or Control, and the F11 key. So we would just bring that up, and we'll work for that and the rest of the movie. Okay, I hope that helps a little bit. All right, so we are here on our pages 2 and pages 3. Pages 2 is looking pretty good. I have no overset. If you look at my overset box here, it's empty. And you know, one little trick I do, I don't know, maybe this is crazy, but I sometimes put a fill in my overset box so that I know where it is and I can kind of push it around, and it just tells me that's something to remember. So like if I go down here, I know that that's my overset box. I don't know. It's just one of those things. I did that back in the magazine days. And it also tells me, you know, to push it away if in case it's in the way of something. I know what it is. All right, we are going to continue. You need to, for your assignment, create a small schedule of events. This is what we did in class. You can make this up, absolutely, but you need to have an event title, you need to have a date, you need to have a time and a location. And then we're going to style this type using character styles that you haven't seen yet to make them all consistent. In other words, every time there's an event name, it's going to be the same font, the same color, etc. Same with the date, the time, and the location. So what we're going to do, and we can do this a couple different ways, is we could just take that first event. I'm going to scrape over it. Come on, there we go. My computer is working very, very slowly these days. And I am going to go and get it out of Minion Pro, and I'm going to go to perhaps that Rockwell I used, just to make it simple. And Rockwell is a font I like because it has a little bit of boldness to it already, and then I can make it more bold, and there is even an italic or a bold italic option. So I like this because I might make all of these different things in the event use the same font, but perhaps in different styles, we call it. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to take the next line, the date, and maybe the date and the time I'll make the same, but I'm again going to switch to a different font out of Minion Pro, and I'm going to make those bold italic. And then the location, I'm selecting just the location, and I'm also going to make that Rockwell. And where is it? It's not behaving well today. And I might make that regular, just to make it, so I have 3 different things. Now, the fun part is that I could just copy all of the, in other words, I could just select this and do the same thing, but I'm going to show you this really great tool that we have in InDesign called Character Styles. Now again, if you probably don't have the panel up, you have to go to Window, down to Styles, and then over to Character Styles, and it brings up this panel. And what this panel right now isn't doing a thing, but if we click on what we've got here, the very first event, and then we click down here where there's a little plus sign next to the trash can and in between the folder, you click, and it pops up as a new line element in this panel called Character Style 1. You want to double click on that, and I'm going to name it, and it's important to name it because you will get confused if it's just Character Style 1, 2, 3, and 4, let me tell you. I'm going to call it the event name. Now you can see that this whole new window has come up, and there's a sidebar here of different line items that are actually all different settings. So if I click on the next one down that says Basic Character Formats, it's telling me what you've selected right now is Rockwell, the font. It's in a font style of bold. It's not telling me what the size is because it's kind of already at that default. And maybe I'm going to change it to 12.5. So you can always, you can usually add a 0.5 into, you just have to type it right, into your font size. The kerning, we're not going to deal with right now. But if you wanted it to all be, if it was all typed in lowercase, you could add all caps or small caps. And the leading, right now, we're not going to deal with. The tracking is how much space between the letters. So I'm going to make this really crazy looking. And you can see you can add a lot of space between those letters and throughout the whole word. And maybe I'll put a little bit of tracking on there. Now, if you go down to the next line item on the left, it has some fancy stuff that, to tell you the truth, you guys aren't going to probably learn in this course. But the next one down, so we're now the fourth line item down on the left, is talking about character color. Character meaning the character is the type. And let's say we want to make it pink. We can make it pink, and that's going, see how it's kind of turned into the selected part. It's almost the complementary color of pink is green. We can go to these. Most of these I don't think you're going to work with, but the one that's important is basic character formats and character color. And those are the two that you definitely want to fill out. And then you simply say, OK. And now when I click out, away from my type tool, I can see what that looks like. And now watch what happens. So now I'm going to select my event on the next event name. And I'm going to click on the character styles panel on the event name. And if I click away, it's made it exactly the same size and exactly the same color and exactly the same tracking. And same with the next one. Now I'm seeing that it's breaking, right? It's an awfully long name, these City of Hope ones. So I'm going to take my cursor and I'm just going to put a return right before the word of. And I think that looks a little bit better. Now I'm going to take these two. I'm going up to the first event and I'm going to the date and time. And I'm going to create a new character style. And I'm clicking that little plus button. It says character style 1. We're going to double click on it and call that date and time. And I'm going to go to basic character formats. You see it's got that it's italic, bold italic, and Rockwell. It is probably saying it's 12-point type. Let's make it 11 just for kicks. I'm not going to worry about any tracking, but let's say we want to change it to blue. I'm going to make this really crazy colors just so you get the idea of it. And then I'm going to say, OK. So you get the idea. Go to the second event, select your date and time, click on your character style of date and time, and it immediately applies those attributes to that type. Let's do one more. So if I click back up to the top, the first event, when I go to the location, you get the idea. I'm going to click another new character style. I'm going to call this the location. And I'm going to go and see what I had made it at. I had just made it regular, it seems. And maybe we'll make this 10-point. And maybe we'll track this out a tiny bit. Like we'll track it out to 25, so it's really legible. And with the color, what the heck, we're just going to make it yet another color so you guys can get the idea. And you're going to say, OK. So now I'm selecting the second location option, clicking the location character style, and it applies it, and it applies it. So that's the easiest way of making character styles. And if you think about when you did the sweaters, how much simpler this would be, because this assures you that everything is staying consistent. Now let's say you're like, oof, I can't stand that location color. I can just bring up my character styles panel, click on the location, go to character color, and let's change it to green. Maybe we want to, so I'm going to show you, I'm going to actually make it black. And what you can do is you can make it a tint, which means it'll add white to it, or it'll be a percentage of the color. So that would be kind of more like a gray at this point. And you're going to say, OK, and look, it did all of them in one fell swoop. Those are character styles. OK, I'm going to stop here so it's not too long of a video. but you get the idea of this, and we'll continue and fill out this page in